Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today's episode of Rule Thirds is a bit of a PSA. It's on a topic that I'm passionate about, that I want to hear my co-host's thoughts about. Mostly, I want to just express my opinion on this wave of negativity sweeping a certain type of film, the sequel. Today we're talking about the cynicism or the stigma against sequels in the film industry. Just movie sequels and the hate they get. So, without further ado, my name is Sean.
My name is Larry.
And my name is Max.
And I mean, this is, we've done a lot of podcasts, so we're definitely guilty of the whole sequel thing, but let us explain why that is not a bad thing after this. Alright everyone, once again, you are listening to Rule Thirds, my favorite, though I may be biased, movie podcast. I'm here with my co-hosts Max and Larry. Are we all doing okay?
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah. A little stressed,
okay.
But whatever.
Well, kind of I'm pretty stressed out.
Same.
Larry, you're stressed out. Max, do you got any stress? Got any?
Not entirely. It's just been one of those
Well, okay.
days.
We'll wait. You go out, get some stress, and come back. Then we'll welcome you into the group. This isn't a non-stress-free environment. Max, gotta have stress. Anyway, let's get right to it. First, let's not get right to it. I want to mention that I did listen to the podcast, or at least most of it, of last week, Best Music Composers, and it was very good. So, well done, you two. I liked it. Sounds so condescending. They're like, good job, you two. You managed to not screw it up when I wasn't there.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Donaghy.
Oh yeah, that did kind of sound like a Jack Donaghy quote. What was I going to do next? I guess just community section, because I got how you guys did. I got the podcast. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the community segment because I'm really excited for this topic. I want to move it along. So our first comment is from Seth Campbell. Unasis. Okay. Seth. I'm just calling you Seth. Do you mind? I'm sorry, Seth, but that's easier for me to say. And he says, I like them both. And this is referring to the How to Train Your Dragon 2 Big Hero 6 debate, which is on YouTube and iTunes. You should really go listen to it. Max gets thoroughly thrashed by me. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And he says, I liked them both, referring to the films, but my heart still belongs to the Harry Potter franchise.
I'm not really sure where the correlation lies in that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I love Harry Potter to death, but I don't see where those, it's about a trilogy that's not even completed and a setup for a franchise. I don't see where the Harry Potter series really fits into these two animated movies.
They're kids' movies, technically, I guess. But then
it's just because Max is on
Max
is on a Harry Potter kick, so Seth is getting any chance he gets to mention Harry Potter. We got it. Yeah. It's Harry Potter.
And he says, future podcast topic, look back. Maybe?
Yes, which I have been telling these guys to do for the past freaking 6 months or something.
Yes, Max, I'm sorry I can't find 9 to 10 hours out of my day to go watch all the Harry
Potter
movies.
I'm sorry. You can watch any movie. You can watch Amadeus, which is like a day and a half long.
Excuse me. Film appreciation class.
Yeah,
watch them in class.
Guys, clearly.
We'll just do Fantastic Beasts speculation, because at least there's something in there.
Okay. I understand Harry Potter's a hot topic button for some people. For some reason.
Well, don't you think the third movie is the worst?
Or 7 Part 1.
I would say third is the best and 7 Part 1 is one of the weaker ones. But no, third is the best. And
third's the best? No, third is not that good.
Yes, third's the best.
No, third's on the lower end. I'm not debating this. Just stop getting me sidetracked. We are not talking about Harry Potter.
Fine, we will debate about one day.
You see, I almost fell into Max's trickery. His deceit. Speaking of which, guys, surprise, I think we should do an episode coming up because another look back episode because I just finished Breaking Bad.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, let's do this on this movie podcast.
Hey, TV storytelling and movie storytelling are the closest related storytelling. Way closer.
Yeah, they're not even that related, but there's still something.
There's so much.
Oh, hey, Sean, remember that debate about Hero versus Jacob and how the community section was a thing? How's that? Can we continue?
No, let me jog my memory. I seem to remember you condescendingly asking me if I remembered what I was doing.
You shouldn't jog your memory, Sean. You should sprint it. There.
What?
You shouldn't jog it. You should sprint it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Shouldn't.
I'm going to get this back on track. We derailed a little bit.
That's why I'm on the show, to keep things on track.
Except you just derailed it with your weird sprint. Anyway, so our next comment is from a name I cannot pronounce. So you should look on the YouTube page. It's a bunch of weird variations. It looks like Asumi It's not. I don't think. I don't know what the name is. I can't
You know who
it.
you are.
You know who you are, though, and you've never commented before. So thank you for commenting. If you're a listener now. And they said, I think How to Train Your Dragon 2 is the best animation movie I had ever seen. Heart eyes, smiley face, hearts. And it's weird because every word, the first letter is capitalized, which is really annoying. Except scene. Scene isn't. That's
Hey,
weird.
excuse me. They took the time out of their day to comment on our video.
You're right. I shouldn't be nitpicking. Thank you for commenting. Though I disagree by a lot. The best animated movie I've ever seen, but for the record, is Up. I would say Up is my favorite animated film. You guys, what about you guys? Just out of curiosity, animated film, what would you say is like your favorite?
Either The Emperor's New Groove or The Iron Giant.
Oh, by far The Emperor's New Groove, hands down.
Huh.
Well, wait, no. If we're talking about, I just keep thinking 2D. I can't pick.
You know what? That could be another podcast. I'll move on. Sorry. We have, of course, our obligatory, and I say that in a good way, comment from Whitley, who says, "Sorry, but I gotta hand it to How to Train Your Dragon 2 as a better movie." Yeah, but in parentheses he says, "Not by much though." But it's been a while, so I'd rewatch it to better argue why. That's fair, Max. You should reevaluate and rewatch those films, like I said at the end of that episode.
When I debated that debate, I said this on the previous podcast, I was in spring break mode and I just did not care.
Well,
so
you
next
should.
debate, I will absolutely crush either both of you.
My pick still goes to The Tale of Princess Kaguya. I feel like I've been saying that wrong all this time, by the way, because I've had to say that name like 4 times, and I bet it's all wrong. I'm not normally a Takahata fan, who I assume is the director. But that movie managed to be a critique of the patriarchy, which needs some critiquing, a critique of the Japanese schooling system, I don't really know, and a ballad to the joy and suffering of life. What are you talking about? There's neither of those things in life. Simultaneously, and still be clever and well-paced, obvious moments of melodrama aside. So that's high praise, but I will take your word for it, Whitley. I'll take your word for it. And he says, by the way, you guys would probably have a ball debating these films with Hope Chapman, as she hated both movies for entirely different reasons. It'd be fun.
Who's that?
Yeah, who is that?
That is Jesu Otaku is her screen name, ex-critic on thatguywiththeglasses.com.
Yeah, she used to be on the site. So
Yes.
hey, reach out on Twitter, Whitley and Max and Larry. I guess me too. Why not? And we'll see. I'll be like super surprised if we get her on, but that'd be cool. I'd love
It'd be
to
tons of fun. I'd love to have debate part 2. It'd be fun.
Yeah, but with like a legitimate online person instead of just Max and I quarreling,
Well, yeah.
yelling at each
Pretty
other.
much, yeah.
Okay, so that ends the community segment. So now we can move on to the topic. That went on a little long, but
Woo!
we can move on right now. So
Topic time.
sequels. This is the franchise age of film, and that implies sequels. A lot of sequels. Movies that aren't even out yet being greenlit for sequels. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had a sequel before it came out. Fantastic Four got a sequel like a month after the movie was announced. Movies are getting sequels.
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them got 2 sequels when it was announced
I know.
2 years ago.
What's with that? So, this is going to be open discussion because a lot of people are hating on sequels, is a way to put it. It's just, it's just another sequel. It's a cash-in sequel, and stop with sequels. We need more original ideas. And I'm kind of sick of it, guys. To be honest.
Yeah.
Pretty,
I've always been sick of it.
yeah. And this
I just don't like cynicism in general, so when it comes to movie sequels, I'm always on like the side of, hey, this could be good. And everybody's like, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad all the time.
Well, I mean, I think I don't know. I used to be on that side. I used to really dislike it whenever I heard a sequel was coming out, just for the same reason, original ideas and stuff. But like, as I continue to expand on how many movies I've seen, the work and different directors and all that, I noticed that like there are some actually pretty solid sequels to films.
And there are sequels that are better than the original.
Oh yeah, in some rare cases,
Like Toy Story 2. Like unanimously, people seem to agree better than Toy Story 1.
I personally disagree there, although I do feel Toy Story 2 is a very well done film. That's just my personal opinion. But I will say Toy Story 2 is a great sequel. But then again, that's also because it was handled by the same people.
Which is often the case.
Yes, that is often. Well, nowadays it is often the case. I feel though before, like a lot of specifically animated movies or children's films.
Yeah, you know what?
The sequels will get like a DVD thing.
Let's start there. Let's start negative so we can work positive.
Okay.
There are crappy sequels.
Oh,
okay, the direct-to-DVD stuff, the cash-in, they exist. We are not trying to argue that
Kronk's
they
New
don't
Groove.
exist.
Hey. Kronk's New Groove is not
No,
that
Kronk's New Groove is
bad.
terrible.
Nope, disagree with you there. I find it tolerable.
Don't attack Larry. Don't attack Emperor's New Groove or anything related in front of Larry, Max. Have you learned nothing?
No.
Hey,
I love Emperor's New Groove to death, and that's why Kronk's New Groove is so dang terrible.
Hey. I don't have Emperor's New Groove goggles on when I say that Kronk's New Groove is tolerable. It is perfectly tolerable, Max. Chill.
Okay, well...
Okay.
So, we're not gonna... Anyway, what I was saying is, can we all agree, guys, we're not talking about that kind of sequel.
Oh, yeah.
That are, like, they're handed to... Like, the Disney did a lot of that. Mulan 2. Tarzan 2.
Did
Tarzan
they do
and
Bambi
Jane.
2?
What?
Yeah.
Tarzan and Jane, which was just 3 episodes of that show that came out.
I watched it, and I'm like, why is this just 3 shorter stories?
Yeah,
they also did Tarzan 2.
I got super pumped. Like, oh my god, it's new Tarzan. It's like, oh, it's just...
Yeah, it's not.
There's also Tarzan 2, you know, when he was young, like a kid, the kid story.
Yeah, I said Tarzan 2.
That was
okay.
Bambi 2?
Bambi 2.
Yep. Cinderella 3.
Cinderella 2 and 3.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 and 3.
Which 2 and 3?
Okay.
Apparently 3 was like time travel?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, time travel. With
crazy.
one of the stepsisters as the main character.
Oh, Disney and you cash-grabbing sequels. How you will never die.
Well, let's step away from negativity. So at least we can all admit they exist. Bad sequels exist. Yeah. That's not why we're here. And it's unfortunate when that happens, but we are here to defend just the idea of sequelness and to put us and hopefully convince people to stop instantly saying that they're going to be bad. You know, instantly dismissing them.
And real quick, to clarify, we're not just talking about like sequels in narrative form. We could also be talking about prequels, threequels, fourquels.
Sure.
Just anything that like any derivative work.
Continuation
of
a film. Yes. Pretty much is what we mean. But the fact is like 95% of it is sequel. Like just straight up sequels. That's why I'll refer to them as sequels. But that is what we mean. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out, Max.
Interquels like The Lion King 1.5, which is great.
Okay.
I haven't watched that in long enough.
Great.
I should rewatch that.
Which is which is great.
Anyway,
there were like 5 different debates that have come up within this one episode, and I think that is worth
fight
over.
Well, that's why we're going to move on. So at least we can admit that. Where are they going with this? Oh, right. I want to go back to really quickly because I have another good example. You guys should think about sequels better than predecessor that you think or that people think as a whole. One of them for me is Hellboy 2: The Golden Army. I think it's better than Hellboy.
I've never seen it. I love the first Hellboy though.
Yeah, the first Hellboy's good, but I think Hellboy 2 is better. And I think most people agree with me. I don't really know the consensus, but I think it's better. And I was impressed.
Never seen either. I heard they're good. I have an example. I feel, and Sean, I know how you feel about this, the first one, but I think Kung Fu Panda 2 is vastly superior to Kung Fu Panda 1.
Did someone like actually give a shred of thought to the story in 2?
Hey, Sean. Hey,
no, but they gave plenty of thought to the first one.
Just I know that wasn't fair.
I will say, what'd you think of the villain in the first one? Just quick thought. Like, what'd you think of him? The villain, the leopard, the snow leopard. Ty something or other.
Evil McEvil?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Like that movie had not a shred of originality in its story.
Okay, so the second one has a far more interesting villain. So that gives you a little bit of remorse.
Oh my god, that from Mark. Oh my god.
What?
That movie doesn't have a shred of originality. But you can't say that this movie is like you can't just say that this movie is this sequel is original because it doesn't count. Remember that, Sean? Remember that? Two podcasts ago? Remember that? Yeah, I remember.
This is like a totally separate thing. We're arguing...
No, it's not.
I'm arguing... No, that was about... You can't say it's awesome on its sequel status because we're talking about it as a standalone film. Here, we're just talking about, was it an improvement? We're not talking about the specific film necessarily. In that case, we were. We were debating film v. film. That was totally different. Max, stop it. You were beat. Lick your wounds and live on. Okay, that's just gonna have to speak.
I don't want to lick my wounds. I don't want to get that shit.
Max, you will have your day.
I don't want to get that stuff in my mouth.
You shall have your day. Don't worry, buddy. You'll get it.
We'll do a rematch when you're not on spring break. I don't know. But anyway, Max, do you have an example of like you would consider sequels better?
Evil Dead 2.
Okay, see, I haven't seen Evil Dead, but
neither have I.
Evil Dead. Okay, the Evil Dead. I don't want to say it, but trilogy, even though it's really not much of a trilogy, is great. It's awesome. The first one, people say, is really bad in like a good way, but I think it's good in a good way, and it's very low budget and whatnot. Evil Dead 2 is more or less a remake, but it's got a lot of great stuff. It's not as scary, but it's funny, and it's got great effects, and it's got that chainsaw scene. one that everybody remembers. And on an unrelated note, Army of Darkness is also freaking great. Evil Dead is a great example of a series that improved with every movie.
I'm glad that you brought up Army of Darkness because I was about to, because I actually saw that when I was in like elementary school at a friend's party, and it like really scared me. And so
really, it's an action comedy. It's not even like a horror movie.
Well, but that's the thing. Like this was like really okay. That was the first R-rated movie I ever saw, technically. So like this was early Sean and his film going. So it was scary. I didn't realize it was comedy.
Early Sean.
But yeah. But now I know that it's part Evil Dead, Army of Darkness, his boomstick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good example. I'm trying to think of another one, but wait, let me look at my DVD collection.
Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3.
No, I think Iron Man 1's just barely better, but I wouldn't like argue.
I'd say
it's a little bit.
It juggles around a bit.
It's better than 2, which again I don't dislike. I'd like to.
Me neither.
I'd like to dispute the merits of 2. I guess I would say that in like big franchise, I think Days of Future Past is by far the best X-Men film, but that's not direct sequel.
But that gets into big franchise. Like it's the same thing. I know we keep going back to this, but it's like the same thing with Harry Potter. It's like we were talking about specific like franchises that like don't have like it's this sequel is better than this sequel. It's like always about the sequel is better than the original. X-Men is like a series that's been around since like 2000. Mm-hmm. So there are plenty of sequels.
Right. So anyway, those are some examples. Let's move on of it being better.
Spider-Man 2.
Yep, I would agree. Spider-Man 2. Good.
Yeah, I could go for that. I can go for that.
2?
Spider-Man 1? Awesome. Spider-Man 2? Awesome.
No.
Guys, amazing Spider-Man. You love that one.
Absolutely not.
Hey, guys.
Everybody's favorite.
Anyway. Man, that was a weird moment.
We will do a Spire debate at some point. Cool. I will stand proudly by my side.
I will stand with Max.
As long as you shove Spider-Man 3 off your side into the abyss.
Oh, please. We're not doing this, Sean. This is like the 7th billionth time this happened.
Listener, rewind, please. Take tally of how many fights could have started on this podcast. It's exciting. Anyway, we've got this whole, here's a few examples of the sequel being better. But that's not going to prove our argument. That's just because for every sequel we can say is better, they can naysayers can list like 10 that are worse. So
Anchorman 2.
Probably. I didn't see it. I liked Anchorman 1 though. Very much.
No, Anchorman 1's great. Anchorman 2 is only slightly not as great.
Blues Brothers 2000.
No one likes that. That's more of
no one likes
kind of a reboot thing. I don't know.
It's terrible. Don't.
Anyway, so now let's get to the argument side. Like why not dismiss sequels? When the odds are so against you, just looking at the track. Oh, a Hunger Games Catching Fire.
We're just gonna randomly like, yeah, I think this. Oh, wait, I got another one.
Wait, no, but it's because I was talking about the odds. I was thinking the odds ever in your favor. And that was Hunger Games.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Gotcha.
Anyway,
all right.
Catching Fire is excellent. So please go watch that. But what was I talking about? Jeez, right. Let's like that. You don't have good odds. Okay, when you watch a sequel. What are the odds of it being better or even on par? Statistically, not that great. So let's argue why still you should not dismiss it.
Well, okay, I think it's good to guesstimate, so to speak, where this comes from. And I think I know where it comes from. I think I know.
Okay.
So a great man on the internet once said, artistic integrity is important. In fact, it might just be omniimportant. And that comes with a lot of different, ways of interpreting it, especially in terms of business. So when the movie comes out that's original, or maybe it's based off of a property or something like that that's that nobody's heard of, it's like this new thing that everybody likes. It's cool, it's original property. And then when a sequel comes out, it's just this big reminder that there's got to be business, and business is terrible because business is terrible because it has to be the opposite of artistic, and it's just and that's why people don't like it, because it reminds them that business is a thing that exists, and that money needs to be used in a film. So, the whole idea of sequels happening just being because Hollywood wants to, and Hollywood wants to make a profit, is probably why people don't like sequels that much. But that's a stupid dismissal. That's a really dumb dismissal.
I buy that argument, Max. That's good. And I also agree that's stupid. I mean, that's the thing. Movies just would not exist without money. I want to say this. Be thankful that there are some incredibly greedy people in Hollywood, because their greed has pushed them to create some wonderful films. Because they hired artistic people.
I would agree with that.
because they've hired the artistic people. Is what I'm getting at.
So,
but anyway,
yeah.
be thankful for money because that's the only reason film exists. Unfortunately, there aren't enough people that on their own time would go out and make movies. You got to have some money flowing. So good.
Yeah, think about it this way.
Let's just fight that. Good, Max. I'm glad you brought that up.
Dang it. I'm sorry, I keep trying to get this. Think of it this way. I'm pretty sure when they saw the first trailer for Empire Strikes Back, someone was like, "Oh, there's got to be a sequel for it."
Especially
look what that
because
happened.
Especially because it was like Star Wars. It was just called Star Wars. And then they added the episode 4. So it's like, wow, that's tacked on. So yeah, I imagine there were a ton of people that thought that. And then boom, better movie. Though I like the first Star Wars better. Because it's just more classic. I don't know. There's something to it.
Yeah, there's something very nerdy about it.
That's the thing.
But still, Empire Strikes Back is like the sequel that is largely regarded as better than the original, right?
Oh yeah, that's probably like the number one sequel better than original.
It was voted as like the number one movie of all time by like a large database of movie buffs at like last year or something.
I wouldn't say that, but it's up. I mean, it's a great film. Do not get me wrong. It's an excellent film.
Correct.
So that's a good argument though. That it might just be a reminder, and that actually reminds me. There's a lot of people. I mean, a lot of franchises lately have gone away from putting 2 or 3 or a number, and I wonder if that's part of it. Because here, listen to this: Captain America 2. That does sound a bit superficial. It sounds a bit, they're just getting another Captain America movie. But if it's Captain America: The Winter Soldier, it's like, that tells you about the story. That's like that gives it purpose. It's about the Winter Soldier. Yeah. They got to tell the Winter Soldier story.
It's not actually another Captain America movie. It's about the Winter Soldier.
Right.
They tell themselves.
It's like this weird, it is technically, it's a sequel. Obviously, they're not tricking anyone. But there's that weird level that people might not get that same knee jerk reaction to. No.
Yeah,
that's why it's weird that Iron Man kept it. Yeah, the Avengers didn't do it, and I hope Guardians
Avengers
doesn't do
2. I mean,
Guardians.
Yeah,
I guess Age of Ultron sounds a little bit better. I don't know.
It does.
Yeah, and the same thing goes with the Harry Potter series. Again, you would not call it Harry Potter 2: The Chamber of Secrets.
No.
I mean, because of the books, but also you just won't want to do that in the first place. It's just,
you really.
It just sounds kind of tacky.
Yeah,
it does sound tacky.
I think,
and sometimes it's okay.
Oh, and there's also I just keep thinking of sequels that are largely regarded as better than the original. There's Aliens.
Oh yeah, Aliens.
Even though I really like the first Alien. And that's an interesting way of naming sequels.
Yes,
Aliens.
Been meaning to. Larry, go ahead and talk. You've been meaning to.
Please. Yeah, thank you. I think there's a very important thing to be said about the.
Don't act entitled to it, Larry. Just
no. What?
I
said thank you. I'm sorry for thanking you. Jeez.
How dare you?
Okay.
I said thank you. All right. I said it.
Okay.
Larry,
great. Okay, so Sean, you mentioned it's about sort of giving the movie purpose. I think a very big stigma that comes with a sequel is that people think that the sequel lacks purpose. It only exists because they think it's profitable, and thus they want to make money off it. That comes from.
Well, to be fair, it is. I mean.
Okay, yes.
Well, yeah, right?
Yes, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I say that you mentioned it, Max. You said it, that people are sort of cynical against business-like money-grabbing people.
Businesses aren't great, but they exist, and we have to acknowledge that.
Exactly. That's a very important thing. I feel the Disney movies are a perfect example of this. And I feel a lot of people like to hang on a lot to just sort of completion. Like what I'm trying to say is Cinderella. Great classic movie. Well, I mean, Sean doesn't think so, but Cinderella is a classic movie to many people. Many people love it, and they don't like it when they have to, quote-unquote, ruin it by having the second movie that has to sort of follow the legacy of a movie that was so great to them. So,
which I admit, honestly, at first, I'm like, that's a stupid argument, the whole it ruins the original. However, there is something about film that is very singular in the specific film.
Yeah.
And if you see a crappy movie, okay, spoilers for Alien 3, I believe. Yeah, Alien 3. Alien 3. It starts with all the characters from Aliens dying.
Oh.
Come on, Max. I said spoilers, you didn't say anything?
Well, I didn't want to take off my headphones and just not hear anything.
Anyway,
and then I would just never be back because you couldn't tell me to come back.
It's this retroactive screw you apparently. See, I haven't seen it, but I just know that's how it begins.
Horror movie sequels do that sometimes.
Right. With something like that, here's what I would suggest. the sequel does have legitimate like power over its predecessor in the sense that you cannot shake that. If you watch a film, it has a happy ending. Okay, this is weird. Take On Me. Do you guys know that song?
Yes.
Okay, amazing song. It's the cartoon. It ends with a comic book guy coming to the real world and be reunited with his true love, right?
Yeah.
You know that, right? Okay.
Correct.
There's a music video, and that's a happy ending. Yay, everyone's happy. Great music video. Great song. And then there's another song, I don't remember, it's by the same band, where the music video starts with that couple breaking up.
Oh, God.
Huh.
It's like, what are you doing?
Oh my God.
What are you
Wow.
doing?
Wow.
Well, I mean, it's always the question of what happens after happily ever after.
Exactly.
I think that just hurt my soul.
Where I think the whole sequel ruining the original has some merit in terms of what happens to the characters. So if you think something crappy happens, or it's just so poorly handled and like ruins characters that it kind of, when you rewatch the predecessors, you can't help but get that taste out of your mouth. I kind of get that, honestly. And I used to be against that, but the more I think about it, the more I think that actually has some merit. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I totally agree.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I sort of agree with that too.
I do.
I'm gonna talk over Larry like all the time now.
Cool.
I didn't have a point. I was just going to say I agree. Please. Talk.
All right, Max, continue.
So, I think I don't want to like guess, but I think the reason this topic may have come about is because of the recent announcement of Frozen 2.
Yes, excellent.
I
want to segue to that.
And see, here's the big divide between me and everybody else. Everybody else is super against Frozen 2 because they immediately assume what the movie's going to be about. A lot of them believe it's going to be about Elsa getting a love interest, which, yes, would be dumb and regress of the character and all that stuff.
Well, that is
but
a very common
I'm like,
Disney thing.
All right, let's... What?
Disney sequels, like, that's a thing.
But
Hunchback
theater,
did
like,
it,
like, theater... Like, this is not going to be a direct... This is going to be, like, in theaters.
I know. Oh, yeah, I don't think they're going to do it.
And it's going to be handled by the... Folks, do you guys remember when they won Let It Go, like, or wait, maybe... When they won that Oscar, they said, let's do Frozen 2? Like, they're going to be back for that.
Oh, yeah, they'll be back.
Yeah, but... The point is, like, everybody was, like, immediately assumed that, oh, this is going to be terrible, it's a really bad idea, because they immediately assumed what the movie would be about to give it purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's really kind of an arrogant idea to doubt what the storytellers are going to try and do with this character. Like,
sure. However, I would like to bring up something. I wanted to talk about Frozen 2 because there's some weird thing about people not wanting sequels because they don't know what that sequel could be. And this was the case for you in Frozen 2, Max, because I think you retweeted someone, or maybe you tweeted it yourself. You had no idea what the story was going to be. Or you retweeted someone who had no idea what the story was going to be. Right?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
my response is pretty simple. A lot of movies are self-contained, but have a context that is so obviously, like, I don't know, kind of endless due to just its nature that it can do anything. So that's the thing about, like, Star Wars. I mean, it ended. Star Wars ended. Like, it was a movie, complete closure. But,
yeah.
like, come on, guys. We got 5 more films. We're about to get 3 more. And they're not going to stop there. We have so many TV shows. Like, there's more there. So Frozen isn't as big a world, but think about it. These characters are not, like, all super done with their arcs of their entire lives. And
well, yeah, of course.
everything's resolved. So I feel like it's so easy to do Frozen 2 because you just think of a good scenario with those characters. It's okay that it will be, you know, kind of shut off from the previous film, like, because there's no loose ends in Frozen, right? But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Sequels can pick up kind of fresh, but you keep the character development from the previous film as a benefit and do some throwbacks, and that's great.
See,
so I think it's okay for sequels to be episodic in a way.
Yeah, I think that, honestly, that's probably the best way to approach it, in my opinion. Because
in this case, I don't think that's the best way to approach all sequels.
Right, of course. I mean, because, like, look, I mean, Frozen's just took off, and I think right from the start they should have been imagining a sequel. Not because of the money, but because there's so much potential with those characters. And I
the
think,
world, like, it's just a solid,
just
it's
an
just
entire
an open fantasy world. You can do so much with that.
What is around this little town? Like, what's now that the winter is gone?
We were in one town and, like, a mountain.
Yeah.
What else in the world?
Is there is there people with fire powers or electric powers?
Ooh. Oh, do that. Do that for the sequel. Do it.
This just becomes infamous with Elsa.
No, it becomes Avatar with Elsa. There's the ice person. There's water, fire, earth, air. Oh well.
No, let's not do water, fire. Like, let's do ice and electric and like I don't know,
poison.
Something else. But
if we're doing infamous, it would be what does Snakes have? It's not fire, it's something else. But yeah, that would be cool. Bring in more magical people. I like that idea.
To bring it back to the original idea. It's also because the story is so like self-contained stuff that like you can only like the average moviegoer, such as ourselves, can just like find something that like you could make a sequel out of. Like for example, again, Elsa's love interest. Also, like maybe an explanation of how Elsa got these powers. Like that's a thing that could be explored. Frozen 2 could be a prequel. I mean, actually, no, it won't be.
It won't be.
Yeah,
it better not be.
But the point is, like, we can just think, oh, based on this context from the movie, like it'll be this. But really, that's just like more cynicism because we're just assuming that like that we're about as smart as the storytellers because they're doing a sequel, they're dumb. We can do better or we can think better because that's just how film criticism works apparently.
Yeah, so that brings up a point I wanted to get to, where a lot of people are against sequels because the films are self-contained. Because they, like, what do you do next? Even though, it can really go anywhere, but it might feel disconnected. That's fair, but, they should still give it a shot. Excuse me. Should still give it a shot. However, some movies seem to lend themselves a lot to sequels, yet there is something still against it. The prime example, because I'm me, I would like to bring up Casablanca.
Huh.
Why was there, when it was happening, and still is, such a stigma against Casablanca getting a sequel? There is no one on earth that appreciates this film more than me. So it's not like a matter of it's too good for a sequel. And have you guys seen the ending? Have you guys seen the ending?
We've all seen Casablanca, so that'll be a yes.
Super open. They lay out explicitly what the next film would be. And that was in production. It was called Brazzaville. It was in production, and it never happened. I would have loved to see it, just FYI. So do you guys have other examples of movies that like seem to lend themselves to sequels, yet people are still against it? And maybe like why? Maybe we can expand on why.
Let's see. That's a good question.
Because there's stuff, I also a subcategory of this that you guys can bring up just to help you think is movies that clearly like give a franchise base, like Big Hero 6, that gives the basis of franchise.
Just drop this question on us out of nowhere, Sean.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't really have any other examples too, but I know there are some.
I swear I just saw a movie that I felt just like perfectly laid itself out for more movies.
And then to be fair, sometimes the financial stuff is why it didn't happen or whatever. But sometimes it's we're talking more specifically the audience against it. But if you guys don't have examples, we can just move on.
I'm pretty sure I'll think of one in like 5 minutes when we're like in the middle of something else.
Larry's got one.
Okay, I know this is sort of a joke at the end of it, but like I think the Lego movie kind of lent itself.
Well, there is going to be a sequel.
And it is.
Well, yes, but I mean, it did lend itself. Like the joke.
Larry, I'm glad you brought that up because people are against it. I've seen a lot of people against a Lego movie sequel.
Really? So, even though the ending is like so like, here's the next plot.
Exactly. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you, Larry.
Well,
it's
now
like,
here's another example.
Itself perfectly.
Here's another example. It's sort of different, but I think it'd be nice to tie it in. When people learned that Toy Story 4 was happening, people got
like us?
pissed. Right? They were pissed
like
off.
Us, sort of.
I wasn't.
Okay, not like pissed.
Mad.
But like we had a whole episode about talking about the end of the franchise age with Toy Story 4 is like the main the main argument. Like we've fallen into sequel cynicism ourselves.
Oh yeah, I was a little
Toy Story 4.
I was a little
Me neither, but like
we're
still like
happening.
skeptical about it just because it's a sequel.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing though. Then rather recently, an announcement came out about that movie and that it is going to be different. It is going to focus on different characters. It is going to expand upon the world, essentially. Now, that's a sequel I can get behind. It's a sequel that takes the franchise, yet expands upon it, and tries to add more to it. It's not just, searching the bottom of the barrel for some little situation to pin onto the characters to create some sequel.
We reached the end of their story. Woody, Buzz, all them. We're kind of done.
Yeah.
And then we get these great little short film, animated shorts.
Like little epilogues.
Like the Alcoholics Anonymous episode. You guys remember that?
No. Actually, I think I've heard of it. I didn't see it, but
it's great. But I've also heard it's going to be like a romantic comedy.
Yeah, I heard that too. That's
weird.
Again,
like, if there's one thing that like franchises love to do, it's expand the universe. Yeah. Like, have you seen like the trend recently? Like starting with like. I know it's like this, not even like the cinematic universe, just expanding a universe.
Yeah, like Transformers wants to do it, get some spin-offs going. Star Wars is doing it because they got their standalone films.
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Yep.
Bam.
Harry Potter.
It might be the start of the HPCU, y'all. It might. I don't know if it should be.
We'll see.
Might.
So, you guys, do you have any more on that subject?
No, it's kind of hard to think
I'm still
of
stuck
one
on
off
that like a movie that like I think deserves a sequel, but nobody wants it. I just can't think.
Well,
I can think of video game ones.
The Incredibles is a counterexample. Everyone wanted that sequel, and now it's
Heck
finally
yeah,
getting it. So,
I want it
yeah,
now. I mean,
well, you're gonna have to wait a while.
Oh,
it is happening.
Oh, Back to the Future. That's what I was thinking of. A movie I just recently watched that set itself literally perfect for a sequel.
I wasn't around. Do we know if people were against having a sequel for that movie?
I don't know.
Let's hope not, because that movie was great and it totally deserved a sequel, which was
I think it's pretty good too.
Yeah. Favorite movie of all time, a little bit. So anyway, hey, we've mentioned all three of our favorite films.
I know what could have gotten one. What am I thinking? Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Really?
Why the heck did that not get a sequel?
Like, okay, I should say in terms of like the world setup, absolutely. Like,
and there was going to be a
potential.
prequel made that was going to be based in World War II.
Yeah, but the movie kind of kept itself in a pretty contained arc as far as
but it was
plot
so
goes.
creative.
It was.
Yeah, you know what? How about this? I wouldn't want a straight sequel as much as I'd want like a spin-off in that world.
The Toontown Cinematic Universe.
Yep, Toontown Cinematic Universe.
With Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse teaming up, and actually, I now want this now. I'm not even joking.
I want this. We don't blame you. We all want that.
Daffy Duck and Donald Duck dueling on pianos.
Yeah, pretty classic scene.
Yep, love it.
Anyway, before we talk about Jessica Rabbit inevitably, because, come on.
Well, no, actually, just to bring this up real quick, there were plans to make a prequel wherein Jessica Rabbit was in Nazi-occupied Germany. Like, she was like a showgirl, and that's where she meets Roger Rabbit because he's a soldier, or something like that.
Wow, okay.
Like, that's how they met.
That's very odd, but I bet it would have been funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll never know. The world will never know. So, I kind of want to move the discussion to something, kind of my main thesis, if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead.
On why people need to stop being mad at sequels. I like to bring up the incredible rise in the art form known as television. And people, I agree with them. People say we're in the golden age right now. We're in a golden age of television.
Wait, you agree with that now?
When did I not?
You point out like we're not in a golden age of television just because there are like some good shows, even though we clearly are. We argued about this once.
I don't recall that either.
I swear you were like, no, we're not in a golden age just because like there are a few good shows out there.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it the golden age. Like it's not like this is what's going to define. We're in a good age.
A golden age.
We are in the silver. No, that actually means something. We're in a golden age of television. So, I mean, okay. If we look at shows like The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, what's another recent one that people are like super into?
Well, Orange is the New Black.
Orange is the New Black.
House of Cards.
House of Cards is better for my argument. Good. Any others that are like people are super into?
Let's see.
See, Breaking Bad ended, and that was
Orphan. Let's see, Orphan Black.
Orphan Black, sure.
Let's see. Sherlock.
Yep, Sherlock.
Oh my God, Sherlock's so good.
Okay, this is enough for my thing.
We could go on. Like that's the thing about this golden age that we just go on. So the thing
I'm most familiar with would be Game of Thrones, but for the sake of you two not groaning and the audience, I will refer instead to Breaking Bad, which I just recently finished. Did I mention, or was that the previous recording? Anyway, I finished Breaking Bad, and very recently. So here's my thought. I was watching the end of Breaking Bad, and this is good. Actually, I just realized this is a better example. Well, I don't know. That might upset Max. Fine, I'll say it. So the end of Breaking Bad, I felt, didn't take full advantage of its TV nature.
What?
So what I mean by that is a lot of this is no spoilers, by the way, so people you don't need to click away. I will be very vague
spoil
about
Alien
this.
3, but don't spoil Breaking Bad finale.
You're right, because those are like the same, Larry.
No,
those
I'm
are like
kidding.
the same.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Relax.
People do not care about Alien 3.
Bryan
People
Cranston as the Xenomorph.
I would watch that.
I would watch that one. Totally watch that.
So anyway, where was I going with this? Right. What I mean is a lot of really important plot points that happened near the end of season 5, in particular at the beginning of Ozymandias, is my key example of this problem I had with Breaking Bad. No, I disagree. I think Granite Slate and Felina were much better. It's not like I had anything against Ozymandias, but the following two were much stronger.
Ryan Johnson!
Anyway, it brought up Okay, I'll start over. In season 5, some important things. The beginning of Ozymandias is something happens to a major character, very major character, and it is done by a character that we had just met. Like a little under halfway through the season, if I remember. We'd only known this guy half of a season. Yet, he was doing something important. See, this is going to sound even worse. Doing something very important to some important character. This vagueness is making it awkward, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Well, it's illustrated at a point where I like it in TV shows when things are big picture and like long build up. Important things should be done by people that have been important for a while, I guess. It's just something that's nice about television. It's long running, it allows that to happen. Now, you may be wondering, where are you going with this? And you'd be right to ask that, and here's my answer. Sequels are the only way to tell some stories. That's kind of my argument against the whole sequel stigma. Because think about television. Season 5 of Breaking Bad is a bad example. That one event's a bad example, because there's so much in that show near the end that just, you can't get there in a singular runtime. It's got to be this long run thing, and that's what TV is. Like, look at Game of Thrones even more so. You cannot be at this point in a singular piece of media or art. It's got to be sequential. It's got to be episodic. And I think this thought can apply to movies. Everyone loved Captain America the Winter Soldier. Okay? People against sequels probably don't hate the Winter Soldier, because it was just excellent film. It was a great film. No, it was I'll say it. It was excellent film.
Yeah, it was.
So people need to realize Captain America the Winter Soldier could not have happened without, at bare minimum, the Avengers and Captain America the First Avenger.
Yeah.
Which not even talking about the rest of the MCU. That would probably be necessary to fully understand what's going on. This is a story that could not exist if it wasn't a sequel. And so, this whole, like, please do original ideas, well, it is. This is an original story. But it happened to need a predecessor. What do you guys think? That's my argument. I think it's a pretty good argument.
Yeah, it's pretty rock solid.
Like, absolutely.
I was gonna bring this up a little earlier, but I kind of felt that you were gonna go in here, so I'll bring it up now. Sequels at many times are meant to continue telling a story. Sequels are fully and absolutely warranted.
I mean, kinda. Sequels are meant to continue a story. Well,
Larry, what was the point?
I guess you're right.
You know what, Max? You know you can just go in the corner. You can just go in the corner over there. What I mean is, if a character, like, I'm not saying just pinning a certain situation on them and what happens. I'm saying if a character deserves development based on a specific event or something, or an environment deserves to have a development and how it might have changed, sequels are absolutely warranted, and in many cases, they are the only way to do so.
Exactly. So you got Captain America the First Avenger. You got to set up that character. You have the Avengers. He's too busy. He's not going to do anything with this new modern world, really. The scenes that they did have him, they were cut from the final film. So that's why we have Winter Soldier. You develop the character in that modern world. And that could not happen in a single film. It just can't.
Yeah, like, not to bring up this...
Go ahead.
I'm probably going to... I know I keep doing this.
It's fine.
But you could not do Severus Snape's real story in a movie. You had to do it in 8. Because it was necessary to understand this character. And it's like, it makes the impact. You could not kill Hedwig in the first movie. You couldn't do that.
No one would care.
No, but instead... It's the second to last movie. It's super freaking sad.
And I still didn't care.
Oh,
sorry, it's an owl.
God.
If it was a dog, I'd be
it's an owl. Oh, I'm sorry.
God.
I'm a dog person, not an owl person. They're wise enough. They should have avoided it. I know. But anyway, that's a good point too. Something as episodic as Harry Potter, where each film is a very self-contained thing. Because that brings an interesting...
The first 4 are, and then the last 4 are like a BBC miniseries, basically. Like,
see, that brings about... I also love that you brought up the BBC miniseries then. Because something that's interesting is, could you just argue, well, why not just make it a TV show? And, well, the counter to that is quite simple. The films, if it's a good film, sequel, original, prequel, spin-off, whatever you want it, whatever it is, it needs to be a self-contained good film. And so to properly tell the story of Winter Soldier, for example, or Harry Potter 6, for example, it needs to be 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
That's not a story to tell over 40-minute bursts or 20-minute bursts. And so it's up to the creators to say, this story is best in one sitting as a film. And that's good. And why I like that you brought up BBC going back earlier, Sherlock.
Yeah.
Sherlock, by the way, just for complete, before I say anything, I love it. It's great. It is cheating. I think I've said this before. It is cheating with its status as television. It is. Yeah. Each episode is 90 minutes, and it is paced like a film. It's a little looser on the whole, making sure everyone's caught up before the next episode starts. It's a little more TV in that regard, where it doesn't feel like it needs to really restate anything like movie sequels do, but it is cheating. And so in that case, that's how the story is best told. In pretty much movie, and now 9 of them? Yes? Are there now 9 Sherlock episodes?
I believe so,
3
yes.
seasons? Yeah.
Yes.
9 whole Sherlock episodes.
So
that's usually enough for a season of a television show.
Yeah, so this is just kind of the point I bring. TV has shown us that big stories can be amazing. I mean, there are stories that are, for example, like Breaking Bad took 5 years, 5 seasons. Walking Dead's still going. Game of Thrones is probably going to go
6 years if you want to be technical.
Well, that's why I changed my vernacular. What was I saying? Right, Game of Thrones is probably going to go for, I would guess, 8 seasons. The way things are being split up next season, but I'm not sure yet. Don't go. You don't watch it.
No, I said yeah. I said yeah, and I'm actually curious to know your opinion about the news that recently broke about the show and the books and how the show's overlapping. So we'll talk about that later.
That was coming a long time. So for those that don't know, I will be the bearer of happy news. The show is going to start spoiling the books.
Oh,
so,
no.
Boom. Sorry, I just hate all the book readers being snobbish online. It's like, oh, you people don't know what happens yet. Soon, we are going to be spoiling it for you. Good luck avoiding those spoilers.
Boom.
Anyway, I got a little vengeful.
If I may, I would like to maybe tie this back a little bit.
Yes, please do. I was about to, but go ahead.
So, How to Train Your Dragon 2, right? That little movie. Granted, I did not like the result, but it was a warranted sequel. Dragons are back. They're back. We are living with dragons now.
Yeah.
How does that change our entire environment? Boom. Perfect sequel.
And that wasn't fully explored, but
Well, I'm just saying the means was good. I just thought that would be a nice little way to full circle.
So basically, in conclusion for me, I'll let you guys do final points. I feel like we're at the end. Do you guys feel good with this discussion?
I mean, we should probably briefly bring up the mishaps of comedy sequels because they seem to be under a lot of flack all the time.
You know what? That's a kind of a separate topic because the problem with comedy sequels is that you're not just continuing a storyline, because that's not the focus. That's what's easy to come up... You're continuing
a sense of humor.
Exactly. It's easy to come up with a continuation of a story. Whether or not it's good, that's, totally different.
Yeah.
But trying to evolve a comedy style in a way that isn't awful, much more difficult. Much more difficult than just another story.
Like Dumb and Dumber 2.
And to be fair, and to add to the cynicism, I would say that 22 Jump Street is sort of that. It's sort of cynical. So. Especially, listen, I love 22 Jump Street, but I love its credit sequence to death, but it's very much like... Oh, look at what will obviously happen because it's the franchise age. It's like, let's do all these
I don't know.
Max,
it's funny. This is the second time this has happened. We interpret Phil Lord and Chris Miller's work differently because you're the one that said that they probably hate the Nolan Batman movies, and I did not interpret the Batman character as that. I interpreted it as a comedic, almost loving, wink, wink, nudge, nudge parody of the Nolan Batman.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they hated it, but I think
you tweeted you used the word hate.
All right.
Or maybe despise. I don't know. But anyway, so maybe it's weird that we disagree because I don't think 22 was like negatively anti-sequel.
And I say that while Phil Lord and Chris Miller are like my freaking favorite comedy directors.
Yeah. So
okay, maybe Judd Apatow. No, it's Phil Lord.
Okay, you know what? That is a good discussion, honestly, for later comedy sequels. Because comedy sequels. Either one. You want both? I don't care.
Both, neither. I don't care.
It warrants its own thing because that's about comedy. We're talking more about like plotting characters in terms of continuation and why people reject that. People don't reject a comedy sequel because of its sense of humor. It's usually like, I don't know. It's not quite the same. You get what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to bring this about. I wanted to kind of bring this full circle in by saying that in this new one of golden age of television, it seems a bit ignorant to immediately assume that a continuation of a story is not warranted, because these are incredibly story-driven shows. Like, okay, Friends, How I Met Your Mother, all these sitcoms are really long-running, but they're, independent. They're sitcom-y. It's, a formula, and it keeps going. And there's overarching story, of course. But we're talking about, like, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead. This is plot. Always. Continuous plot. There's, like, never a standalone episode. This is a new thing. This is a pretty new thing, at least in this popularity. And I think it does show that people want big stories. People want the 8 seasons of Game of Thrones. People wanted 5 seasons of Breaking Bad. Who knows how long Walking Dead's going to go? A long time.
And now it's Fear the Walking Dead.
Yes, now we even have a spin-off. And so, guys, and you're watching this. We're not talking about these, like, super indie, you haven't heard of them TV shows. We're talking about Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad and Walking Dead. You guys watch this. People that hate sequels sit down every week and watch season bajillion of whatever show. Why not apply that thought to movies? Give them that chance. You come back year after year for the same continuation of a story. Why not let Captain America get another movie? Why not let Frozen get another movie? Because who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think
that's how I'd end it.
Yeah, I think really that entire point you bring up is good. And I think the answer to your question is that why don't you give them the chances? Because I feel that in some cases the trust isn't there.
Yeah, and maybe because TV and that's inherent, that you're going to keep going. The trust is like implied by even starting, and film that's not the case.
See, like I think of it this way: Breaking Bad. Once season 4, I think it was around season 4, the show started gaining more viewership, I believe.
Really? I thought it was much sooner because I started hearing about it a few years after it ended.
I don't know.
It ended.
I learned about it the day before it ended. So,
what series? What series?
I heard about it.
You never heard of Breaking Bad before it ended?
I heard of its name. I didn't even know the plot of it. I just sort of I know.
That's weird. I knew about it. I just didn't watch it.
Right.
It's continuing my tradition of not watching TV shows until like right after they end.
Yeah.
It was like a month after Breaking Bad ended that I started.
You and me, buddy.
And Parks and Rec, I watched the pilot literally 24 hours after the finale aired. Like, it was insane how close it was, and it was not planned. It just happened.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Weird how that stuff happens. But, Vince Gilligan gained the trust of viewers once that happened. Yes. When Marvel decided to create the Avengers and blow everyone's mind holes, they gained the trust of oh my God, shut up. They gained...
when you say mind hole and talking about Breaking Bad, a certain image comes to my mind. Sorry, this argument's making me lose face. I don't know. That was forced.
It's Joss Whedon and Kevin Feige and the Marvel
mostly Kevin Feige because he's running the whole show.
They gain the trust of the viewer. The sequel is okay to people if the trust is gained. When I heard it's funny that when like Toy Story 4 gets announced, people get pissed off. I think that's mainly because the story was so complete and people had
I think
so
it's
much
just a
love
matter
for
of
that.
Where does it go now except a cheap
And people like
knockoff.
things in threes. They do.
Right.
They do. It's just like a rule of thirds about that sort of thing.
But I feel I got you, Sean. I got you. I feel that if you want to do a sequel, I feel that if you want people to get behind your sequel, it's about creating a great first film and then establishing trust for it. And then establishing that there is a purpose. There is a something that is not just a springboard. It is a underlying thematic device, or it is an underlying thing that brings that plot together with the first one to make it feel like, oh hey, I'm watching, like when I was watching the Ace Ventura movies back to back, I felt like I was watching a continuous plot line. For various reasons, but the themes and the overall conveyance were, pretty much the same thing. So I'm just gonna end it on that. There needs to be a purpose to the sequel, and there needs to be something that connects the movies.
And that's a good message to the filmmakers, Larry. But let's be honest, it's even if they do all that, it's still up to the audience. They're the ones causing the trouble. So that's what the rest of the podcast is addressing. We want to address the cynics against sequels. Give them a chance, because a lot of them are really good. Yep. Winter Soldier was better than First Avenger. So we keep talking about Winter Soldier because it's just such a good sequel. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, better than Rise.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Another example. So I guess with that, on the note of, come on, guys, really?
Yeah, I got to conclude.
Oh, right. Sorry. It's just I didn't know if you had survived the thrashing of the. I don't know. The debate went badly. Go ahead. That was the joke I was gonna make. I gave up.
All right. So I'm in the same boat. Like I think it's really easy to hate things, or not hate, to dislike things, and
very easy.
Not to
I dislike you, Max. That was easy. Just kidding.
You get out.
Just kidding.
Oh my
Get out.
God.
Actually, don't, because we need to wrap this up.
Yes,
I'm not a cynical. I like to think I'm not a cynical person, and I personally do actually hate cynicism and retarded towards everything or anything. And when it comes to sequels,
that sounds pretty cynical of you, Max.
What?
Why are you so cynical against cynicism? Anyway,
I think we just opened a paradox somewhere.
Yep,
Somebody probably just died.
Awesome.
I find it curious that people are so against the idea of sequels when in reality some of our favorite movies are sequels, or they have been influenced by trilogies that could have not have been big without the sequels.
Yeah.
Just remember, the next time you wonder, oh man, it's like the same reason why people automatically hate a movie like Pixels just because it stars Adam Sandler and nothing else. You know,
the trailer
it's directed by
awesome,
Chris Columbus, who's done some great work. You know, who directed the first two Home Alones and Harry Potter's and wrote Goonies and all that stuff. No.
And Percy
Adam
Jackson.
Sandler,
Bad.
Oh, would you get out? But
sorry.
Just remember, the next time you think, oh man, sequel's coming out, I don't want that to happen. Just remember, Breaking Bad did the same goddamn thing. Y'all love it so much, so don't do it.
That's it. There you go. And
all
remember,
right, guys.
I just to wrap up. Big stories are good. Sequels allow film to do much bigger stories.
Big stories are great.
Yeah.
I don't know what series are, but big stories, they're great.
Think about War and Peace. You can't fit that in a movie. Books can get
you gotta
huge
give that
stories.
stuff room to breathe.
So, be mindful, and you might be surprised at how awesome big stories are. The MCU is popular for a reason. It's because it's huge. There's gonna be 20 movies.
Oh, the reason the MCU is successful is because it's huge.
Well, okay.
I think that's circular logic. Okay, Sean, wrap this up. Come on, buddy.
I mean huge as in it's telling a very big story that keeps people invested, and the extent of it interests people even more, is what I meant, Maxwell. Anyway, we are going to wrap this up. Again, on the note of, come on guys, which is very common
The
on
daily
internet.
question is, what's your favorite sequel?
Yeah,
what's
there you
your
go. Thank you for throwing that at the last second. I would have forgotten. Thank you. What is your favorite sequel? And do you agree? Do you hate all sequels? If so, can you not comment? I don't want to deal with you. I don't.
Can you just
if you listen to nearly an hour of us talking about why that's really dumb to be against all sequels, we can't help you. We can't help you. I'm sorry. Anyway, we're gonna end on that note of telling people not to discuss film with us.
Don't comment on our video. I swear to God.
If you disagree with us and you comment, you will die. Wow, that. I don't know where that came from.
That was awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, guys, let's wrap this up. All right,
no,
we got things to do. Stress to take care of.
I want to do more demon impressions. Come on. Anyway, this is getting out of hand. This was a good discussion, though. I enjoyed it, and we'll have to do a part 2 sometime. Follow this up. You guys get it? A sequel? Do you get it, guys?
No, we should do a prequel.
Get it?
We should do a prequel before we talked about this.
No, that's always
our
part
argument
3.
that ensued before we talked about this.
Did we argue? I don't remember. Anyway, until that inevitable sequel that you all probably hate on, but will turn out to be okay. My name is Sean.
My name is Larry.
And my name is Max.
And you will hear us later with some topic. We don't know yet. That'll be a fun surprise.